The sign at the trailhead was explicitly clear. Stop. Do not walk after 10 a.m. Mark Roberts checked his watch. It was 10:15. He kept walking. Death Valley doesn't look like a murder weapon. It looks like a postcard. Vast, golden, silent. But beneath the silence, there is a biological clock ticking down for every single living thing that enters without respect. Mark wasn't stupid. He was fit. He was prepared. Or so he thought. He had 2 liters of water. He had a map. He had a plan to reach the ridge and be back by noon. But Mark made a critical calculation error. He assumed the heat was static. He assumed that 100 degrees at the trailhead meant 100 degrees in the canyon. He was wrong. Geography is a trap here. The valley floor sits 282 feet below sea level. The air is dense. It traps heat like a lid on a pressure cooker. As Mark stepped onto the trail, the ground temperature was already 30 degrees hotter than the air. He was effectively walking on a stovetop. The first mile feels easy. This is the deception phase. Your body is still efficient. You sweat. The sweat evaporates instantly in the dry air, and your skin feels cool. You don't realize you are losing water at a rate of 1 liter per hour. Mark felt strong. He moved fast, too fast. He bypassed the shade of the canyon walls, aiming for the open ridge. He wanted the view. At 10:45 a.m., the ambient temperature crossed 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Mark took his first sip of water. He noticed it was warm. Not hot, just warm. He didn't care. He pushed on. Here is the science of what was happening inside his veins. As the blood heats up, the heart has to pump faster to send that blood to the skin to cool down. It's a cooling loop. But when the air is hotter than body temperature, the loop fails. The heat has nowhere to go. It stays inside. 11:15 a.m. Mark is now 3 miles in. The sun is vertical. There are no shadows left. He stops to check his GPS. The screen flickers. Overheating. For the first time, a small spike of anxiety hits him. He decides to turn back. Smart decision. Too late. The walk back is uphill. This is where the math of survival turns against you. Walking uphill requires 50% more energy. More energy creates more internal metabolic heat. Mark is now generating heat faster than he can shed it. He drinks half his water in one go. It provides 0 relief. His mouth feels like sandpaper 3 seconds later. This is cottonmouth, the first undeniable sign of severe dehydration. The body is pulling water from the saliva glands to keep the blood pressure up. He stumbles, just once, a small trip over a rock. He laughs it off. But that wasn't clumsiness. That was neurology. His brain is swelling. The landscape changes. It stops being beautiful. It becomes hostile. The rocks radiate heat waves that distort his vision. The shimmer. Mark sees the canyon exit in the distance. It looks close, maybe 20 minutes. In reality, it is 90 minutes away. At 11:40 a.m., Mark stops sweating. This is the point of no return. This is anhydrosis. The body, desperate to preserve blood volume for the heart and brain, shuts down the sweat glands. The skin becomes dry, hot to the touch. Mark looks at his arm. It's red. He thinks it's sunburn. It's not. It's the blood vessels fully dilated, screaming for release. His internal temperature hits 104 degrees. This is the medical definition of heat stroke. He isn't hiking anymore. He is dying. Mark's logic center, the prefrontal cortex, begins to misfire. He remembers he has water left. He reaches for the bottle, but his hands are clumsy. He drops the cap. He stares at the cap on the ground. Picking it up seems like an impossible math problem. He leaves it. He takes a drink. The water is hot now, almost 120 degrees inside the plastic bottle. It burns his throat. He throws the bottle away. "I don't need this," he mutters. Why would he say that? Because his brain is cooking. 12:10 p.m., peak heat. The air temperature is 118 degrees, ground temperature 165 degrees. Mark stops walking. He sits down. The worst place to be is near the ground. It's the hottest zone. He feels sleepy, a profound, heavy exhaustion. Just a nap, he thinks. Rest for 10 minutes, then I'll walk. He closes his eyes. The silence of Death Valley is absolute. No birds, no wind, just the sound of his own heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird. Boom, boom. Then something strange happens. Mark stands up. He feels hot, unbearably hot. He starts to take off his clothes. He removes his hat, his shirt, his boots. He folds them neatly. He places them on a rock. This phenomenon is known as paradoxical undressing. As the brain stem fails, the mechanism that constricts blood vessels shatters. Sudden rush of hot blood to the skin tricks the dying brain into feeling cold? No. It tricks it into feeling an intense, burning flash that demands nakedness. Mark stands in the middle of the most hostile environment on Earth, barefoot, shirtless, exposed. He believes he is cooling down. He looks around. He sees a lake, blue, shimmering water, trees, shade. It's right there, just off the trail. He leaves the path. He walks toward the mirage. He walks into the salt flats. The jagged crystals cut his feet. He doesn't feel it. The pain receptors have shut down. He is chasing a ghost. 1 p.m. Mark collapses. He doesn't fall gracefully. His legs simply stop receiving signals. He hits the salt crust face first. He tries to push himself up. His arms tremble and give out. His internal temperature is now 107 degrees. At this temperature, proteins in the cells begin to denature. Literally, the chemical bonds that hold his cells together are unraveling. It is cellular disintegration. The tragedy is that Mark is still conscious. He is paralyzed, blind, and alone. But he can hear. He hears the blood rushing in his ears. He wonders where the lake went. He wonders why it got so dark. 6 p.m. The sun begins to dip. The heat lingers, stubborn and heavy. A park ranger doing a routine sweep spots something off trail, a splash of color against the white salt, the blue backpack. Then, 50 yards away, the body. The ranger doesn't run. There is no need to run. The posture tells the story, face down, limbs splayed. The ranger checks for a pulse out of protocol, not hope. The skin is still burning hot to the touch. Inside Mark's pack, 1 liter of water, untouched, a map, a phone with no signal, and a picture of his family in his wallet. Mark Roberts didn't die because he was weak. He died because he was confident. He died because he ignored a sign that wasn't a suggestion. It was a law of physics. Death Valley is not a park. It is a wilderness that operates on a different scale of violence. Every year, thousands of people drive through here. They take selfies. They feel the heat through the window. They leave, they treat it like a theme park. But nature does not care about your itinerary. It does not care about your fitness level. Mark's story is a brutal reminder. The line between an adventure and an obituary is often just one decision. One extra hour, one ignored warning, one turn off the path when the sign says stop, stop, because the desert is always waiting, and it has all the time in the world.